Michael Blake, Vice Chair of the DNC and a New York State Assemblyman. How you doing, Mike? Nice to see you, sir. What do you think of the prediction on Michelle Obama? Would you like to see that?
Well, she's not running, but the core question is, why the hell does Tucker Carlson still have a job here in the first place? The reality is, this is someone who said white supremacy is a hoax, and why does Fox allow him to still be here in the first place?
All right. Well, I mean, his opinion there is that Michelle Obama may get in this race. Do you think that will happen, or
it's not going to happen? Not going to happen. But I think the core question is, he shouldn't be on here at all.
I get it. We didn't bring you on to talk about Tucker Carlson. I brought you on to talk about the Democratic field.
Needless to say, he probably hasn't been invited back to Fox, but that got him a seat right here at my table. Let me welcome to the show. He is running for the 15th Congressional District in the Bronx for the New York Assembly. Let me welcome the one and only Michael Blake. Yes, Michael Blake. Welcome. And you can follow him at don't forget that, Mr. Mike Blake on the Twitters. Man, that was the blackest thing I'd heard on Fox in the longest time, and it melted my heart, and I was like, this man has to have a seat at my table. I don't care what you come in to talk about. I didn't even know you run for office. I didn't care. I just said, you can come on this show and talk about anything. What inspired you to have that commentary in that moment? Was it calculated?
I think I'm just tired of Fox playing games, right? And, I had gone on probably for about 2 years in my role in the DNC, Democratic National Committee, trying to be the reasonable voice, trying to talk to them, pushing things back. And then when Tucker made that absurd comment, just coincidentally, every time I was supposed to go on, I got canceled on.
Okay.
Sometimes it would be a day before, sometimes it'd be hours before. So once they invited me on, and especially to talk about the First Lady, I was like, this is the nonsense that we keep listening to. And I think I was just I
didn't know what to do.
I was done. What happened was.
Yeah, it was hilarious. And I also want to talk politics. We have an impeachment trial going on right now. Let me welcome back Sina Ghaznavi. We still got the Hawaii game going on the side. There's a lot happening in the studio.
Which I still have no clue.
Oh no,
what it's.
We're gonna get the app, and you and I can play.
I need it.
We'll play
apparently
each other.
I'm good now. Like I'm all right. I'm not bad anymore. I had to calm myself down, which is the other thing, right? Always being, because I feel like sometimes I'm forced to move forward. Yeah. I need to be an unmovable force, right? But if you relax, people they lean against you and they fall.
Yeah.
And you have to have different ways in which you strategize. So that's the other reason why I brought you here. The Democrats are going to lose in 2020. Trump is going to win again.
I think you're going to win, though.
No, he's going to win. He's absolutely winning his seat.
Let me lean back right now.
Yeah. No, you're going to win your seat, but I think that nationally the Democrats haven't come up with a good enough strategy. They don't have a candidate that has a good enough. You don't have a message that is inspiring across the board. There's not anybody on that debate stage that I watched the other night that I didn't watch it all because it was so damn boring that could engender the kind of passion that we need to see in 2020, and it can't just be about Trump. There has to be a message for America that leads us into the next century. And I don't feel that. And we're talking tech here and all these other things. Yep. And there's going to be a trillionaire in the AI space. Who are we developing right now? No one's talking that talk. So my question is, do y'all want to win? And why aren't you at the front? Why the hell we got Tom Perez? I said it. Oof. All right, you don't have to answer.
So let's get after it on a Thursday.
Yes.
I'm trying to learn the game. You about to get me going up right here. So, first on some real talk, I've had a lot of conversations with folks. I am confident we're going to win for many reasons. Aside from Trump is a clown, he's a racist, he's a sexist. We understand that. The conversation he's trying to have is there's a lot of money out there and everybody going to be fine. That's not working, right? That's just not working for people on the everyday level. And you look at on our side. There is energy around Biden and Buttigieg. There is that, and you may not feel that, Karen, but you can't ignore the numbers. What's going on out there? Like all these polls are not just random. They are showing people beating Trump.
You mean the polls that had Tom Steyer second in South Carolina? We got to believe that poll.
In which again, you may not like that, but it doesn't mean it's wrong. At the end of the day, they ask people.
You believe that, Michael? Really?
Of who got polled down there?
That Tom Steyer is second in South Carolina?
In that poll right now, yeah. You know why? Because at the end of the day, a lot of the candidates are just focusing on Iowa and New Hampshire, and they're not thinking long game. And so what Steyer is doing is understanding he's going to put his money in a state like South Carolina. And if you don't have any other competition going out there, people focus on name recognition. So in that here and now, I absolutely do recognize that. And can that change? Absolutely. Because I remind people, when I was with Obama in 07, 08, and people were like, y'all have no chance, y'all not going to win. We won Iowa, and then, boom, you saw things flip real fast.
True.
So in that same space, Trump's numbers don't grow, ever. His base, that's why he's doing all this. He's just trying to lock in his base. He's going to hope for the best. Our people, 17, 18, 19, we have had better turnout every single time. I think what's going to happen, whoever's the nominee, folks are going to rally around that person. I really do believe that. And what I've said a lot, if we repeat what we did in 18, in 2020, we're going to have a Democratic president.
Who do you think is going to emerge?
I don't know. And I'm not trying to.
This is the crazy thing, right? Because it feels very like.
And I think the big thing, and I want to go back on the piece about Tom, which I am going to go to, because I got a lot of respect for Tom, and Tom's been doing a lot of things that people have not seen, so I'm going to wrap on that. So this is different, again, from 08 and 16. In 08, at this point, we had the momentum with Obama. Like, I think people understood we were rocking at that point. I think in 16, essentially Hillary and Bernie tied in what was going on in Iowa. This time around, you have 4 people essentially tied at the top. And I do think there's very different energy that everybody has. And the piece that I want everybody to remember, when it comes to the Iowa caucus, you don't just show up and vote like we would do in New York or other places. You showing up in a room, in a public
gym,
scenario,
in a church, right.
And you really have to rock for your candidate. Because everyone sees this is your candidate. And the key question is going to be, who's your second choice? Because if you don't have 15% of that room, then you have to go either to another candidate or you go to uncommitted. So what we're not seeing right now is who's everyone else's second choice. Because that's why, to your question, if I have a lot of people in my 15, 20% that I'm their first choice, but I got another 15, 20% that I'm their second choice, and I have that kind of energy we build with, that's some momentum that we can have. Now, on the Tom piece, a lot of things people are not seeing. Puerto Rico, for example, which we obviously are watching with the earthquake, and I was down there on Sunday. And what Trump is doing is absurd on so many levels.
Not doing anything.
Well, what he just announced is he'll release the funding if they agree to not pay $15 minimum wage, if they agree to not put money towards energy, if they agree to a fiscal accountability.
How do you hold hostage aid?
U.S. citizens. But
it's
people,
aid for people who need
aid. Who need help right now.
I got pictures from folks, the senior citizens literally living in tents.
They live in 10 cities.
What the freak? I mean, these are citizens of America, senior citizens, people that need medication
right now
without homes.
I was out there on Sunday. We were in Ponce. We were in Guanaca being the epicenter of it all, where you had families sleeping on cots in tents while we were standing there. I had 4 earthquakes in one day while I was down there, right? So Puerto Rico, for example, 787 area code. When everything was happening, people were coming to the States. We identified where that was pinging for 30 straight days. In Florida and Pennsylvania, we were able to mobilize the Democratic parties in both states to organize Puerto Ricans there. Doug Jones had a higher black turnout in his election than Barack Obama did in either of his 2 elections in Alabama. That's how we won in Alabama. We have organizing core.
Wait, pause. You won in Alabama because black women showed up.
And that's specific. Black turnout for Doug Jones was higher than it was for Barack Obama's elections. That didn't just happen.
You don't think that was Higher Heights and Stacey Abrams and that?
All those pieces were intertwined.
Okay.
We can't ignore that we put people on the ground as well. Organizing core. We're going to have 1,000 young people of color ready, whomever the nominee is. So there's a lot of things that people may not be seeing. And I think, quite frankly, because of our frustration around Trump, and we got to make sure we get him out. But it doesn't mean that things are not happening. And that's why we put in the work. And so when people don't see me, if I'm putting in work in the Bronx as we are in our race, if I'm out elsewhere, it's because we have to win.
Okay. Are you staying in the DNC after you win?
Absolutely.
Why? Why are you committed to this?
Because I can't sit on the sidelines as we watch the destruction of the country. And in large part, we have to show that we're going to be at the table. I'm the first black man that's been elected to DNC leadership since Ron Brown. I understand the importance of that.
I didn't know that you were part of that. You know, I saw that clip and I was like, "This is a black man at the like." I look like Swaggy P. What is it? I was confused. I didn't understand because I'd never seen you before.
I understand, and that's why I want to be there. But
this is what I'm saying. Like, if Tom Perez knows he's low energy and is not charismatic, he needs to put Mike Blake out into them streets so that we can be inspired in a way that we're not right now.
And I've been to 33 states. I've done MSNBC. I've done CNN.
Okay.
I've done AM Joy. Now I'm on Karen Hunter. So now I
All
made
right,
it.
Fine. But
Now
I
I
reached
made
out
it.
to you. They didn't put you. All right. So let
here
me
we-
ask you this. Let me ask you,
Follow me at MR Mike Blake. You can get me anywhere you want me right now.
MR Mike
MR
Blake. Tell me about you. Did you grow up in the Bronx?
Born and raised.
All right.
Creston and Burnside.
All right. Tell me about little Mike Blake and what he wanted to do and who was his family.
My family's from Jamaica. I'm one of two that were born here. My mom raised 4 boys, worked at a manufacturing plant for 40 years. My daddy was a union janitor, 1199 SEIU. I have one oldest brother who served in the Army for 29 years, and I have 2 other brothers that were incarcerated and turned their lives around and doing great things now. I was born with a heart murmur. I went to PS 79, which was in Savage and Equality Children American Schools, 118 DeWitt Clinton. Went to Northwestern University, and in 01 fell asleep at the wheel. And if it wasn't for the hands of God and the luggage I had in the car, I would have gone over to Clifton in the hills of Pennsylvania that day. 6 days before that, I wrote out something that said, "Dear God, may today be my greatest day, greater than the great day I had a day before. But my goal has not been met unless tomorrow is the greatest of them all." So for me, this is a journey that I've always been on. My mom always teases me because they named me after Jamaican prime ministers. So my full name is Michael Alexander Blake. So they named me after Michael Manley and Alexander Bustamante. And she always said, I knew you were going to be a preacher, a journalist, or a politician. And because I'm Jamaican, I had all 3, right? So I've been preaching since I've been 13. United Methodist and AME churches. I have a journalism background. But I really do believe politics is how you can have the most impact on people.
Please tell us how, because some of us don't even think we should be voting.
I've always asked people
No, but
this.
you know
No,
some people.
that's real
Not
talk.
our listeners, but there are
That's
people
real
out
talk.
there.
Over 100 million, right, in the last?
100 million sat home.
That's real
Yeah.
talk. We have to make this more plain and simple for folks. There is nothing that happens in your life that's not impacted by some form of policy. And I have asked people, tell me one thing, and I still have not had someone be able to tell me that, whether that be city, state, federal, or even international. And we got to make this even more plain. People talk to me about the census, which we need people to get involved with the census. Your student loan rates are impacted by census. Your mortgage rates impacted by what happens with the census. Congressional representation. So basic things in your life. So when we say why you have to get involved with politics, it's asking you the same question. If you care about your life and you want a better life, why would you see that power to somebody else?
Yes.
Well, then they say, well, I vote and then nothing changes. The same people, they're corrupt. They do the kickbacks. They got the lobbies, and we don't see a change. So what does my vote matter if I go vote and then the people don't do anything? What do you say, Michael Blake?
By you not voting, we have Donald Trump right now in other states and other places. But because of people voting, we have a Keisha Lance Bottoms in Atlanta. You know, we have a Vi Lyles in Charlotte. We have a Democratic Senate, Assembly, and governor in New York, which because of people voting here in New York, we changed bail reform and speedy trial and open discovery.
But you still don't have weed. All right.
We can wait.
We have decriminalization right now.
Of marijuana.
First step.
Yes.
And real talk, the reason why we didn't agree to that last year is a group of us said, if we're not going to make sure that black and brown communities don't have that money, we're not agreeing to this deal.
And I remember reading about that, and thank you for doing that, because too many state legislators saw the money and ran, and all these small businesses that were supposed to prop up and the communities that were disproportionately affected were left in the dust. So I was really happy about that as a marijuana activist myself, so I was very happy about that.
Are you an activist?
I'm a NORML, National Organization for the Reform
I
of
did
Marijuana
not know
Laws.
that.
Yeah.
See, look at that. I'm bringing worlds together
You
here.
are.
There we
you
go.
are.
And
New York Assemblyman from the 79th District, Michael Blake. He wants to be congressional congressman, Michael Blake, which I think you're going to win. So what district? So this is the Bronx. Is this where does this span? 15.
15 district. If you spend any time in the South Bronx and you in New York 15,
Okay.
you go to Yankee games, Crotona Park, Bronx Zoo, Botanical Garden. You come to our hip hop restaurant we have called Bistro.
You have a hip hop
A
restaurant?
bunch of my boys opened a hip hop restaurant. We want you to come through.
Okay. It's
you
called
know,
Bistro.
Bistro.
Beats.
Beat.
And what do I eat there? What are they? What's the cuisine?
They got
Hip hop cuisine. What
shrimp
is-
and grits, pernil, the best fried chicken that you will have in New
well,
York
that
City.
I won't be eating.
In
We
New
don't
York
do
City.
fried chicken here. We don't do Popeyes. No, we
We
don't.
can give you
No,
fish. We can give you fish.
Okay, what kind of fish? What are
We
we
got some
doing?
good catfish.
It's a bottom feeder.
What else kind of fish you want?
Salmon.
We can make that happen.
Okay.
A baked salmon? Can you do a
Salmon,
baked
yes.
salmon?
No, I like mine
With some
broiled.
Brussels sprouts, please.
Yes, there you go.
Here's what we're going to do. I want y'all to come through on a Sunday for our hip-hop brunch that we do at Bistro.
Okay. Hip hop brunch. Okay. I'm writing it down.
So, good point. I guess I should say where we at right there,
Where
right? Come find us on 135 Alexander Avenue.
What? There was this.
We actually just had this week the hip hop award, the hip hop announcements that happened in the Bronx where Fat Joe and everybody else was at. That was at Bistro.
Okay.
So Sunday brunch, live hip hop brunch.
What was the name of that place where you could do karaoke? It was really popular. All of the folk used to go back in the day in the Bronx. It was right under the train.
You're not talking about like Skate Key.
No.
You're not talking about Jimmy's.
Jimmy's.
Oh, Jimmy's up on Fordham Road.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
They had some good food
that's salsa con fuego now.
Yeah. Oh my God, the food was good there, and the karaoke was dope. All right.
I want you to come do karaoke with us then.
Beats. Yeah.
On that same block,
Bistro.
you would actually love. We have a spot called the Lit Bar. The assistant named Noel Santos opened. Only independent bookstore in the Bronx,
I love that.
and it is live.
Okay, I'm gonna have to. We're gonna shout out
See,
the
this
Lit
is what
Bar.
happens. You come to New York 15.
Yes.
We gonna make things happen.
Okay, all right. So your vision for Congress is what? Like we send you to Congress, not we, because I don't live in the Bronx and
You
I
can
can't
let
vote
people
for you.
know.
But yeah, when you get there, what are you gonna do that's different?
Oh, we're gonna change the game. I mean, our whole vision is believe in the Bronx, because I am tired of people disrespecting my home, and I think we got to go big, right? I think people talk about housing. If you want to change affordable housing, we should have neighborhood-based income, not area median income. Your income and your rate should be based on your local community. There should be a minority women business bill of rights so that capital and contracts go to minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, right? We should focus on how there's student loan forgiveness. So if you want to go back into your community after 10 years and you serve, you can have your loans waived. We did that in the Obama administration. We should bring that back. We should be thinking more creatively on how we're helping our immigrant communities, because at the end of the day, the largest West African community outside of West Africa is in the Bronx, right? So that's the reason why we're focused, and that's why I was listening earlier on how we engage in that way. This is what we're trying to change the game in a big way, right? And I'm very excited about it. I am not running for re-election in the state assembly because I'm all in on this congressional race, because I think people need to see that you're real.
Yeah.
And when we go out there, they see that someone grew up on the block, did everything on the community, went to work for Obama, and then came back home. And so my entire vision of believe is I want people to believe that you can do it the right way, right? And you can make it, and you can change the policies in a very real way to make these things happen.
4 boys grew up in the same household. 2 did great things. 2 went to jail.
I say all 4 did great
Yes,
things, just different
eventually,
ways.
right. So what happened with the other 2, and what did they go to jail for?
I think life happens, right? And I think a lot of times we're all not honest about that, right? We try to make it seem like everybody's
Did you
perfect out
see
here.
it going on? Did you know that this was going to be that path?
Well, I
when
mean,
you
there
were
was
growing up?
there was a good age gap between.
Okay.
The one closest to me is about 10 years different.
Okay.
And I think a lot of it was wrong place, wrong time. Everybody has that one friend that you know better, and you should not get in the car.
With that one friend.
And on both accounts, I think that's clearly what happened. But the beauty is, I have one brother who is now living in Philly and managing a company down there, which is a blessing. And my other brother that's in London is doing manufacturing and welding, right? And, this is about giving people second chances.
I love it. I love it. When I was watching you on Fox, I was thinking if
You
more,
watched it live or you watched it later?
No, it was trending.
Oh, okay.
You were trending that day.
Me no.
People were sharing that with multiple people, and I would never watch Fox Live.
I was gonna
Ever.
say, we gotta
Ever.
pump it
Never.
in.
That's why I was asking that.
No, it could never happen. And I don't. And truthfully, I don't watch any of the cable news anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I can't watch it.
It's a lot of noise right now.
And I feel in many ways, my gaze is so powerful that I'm not giving you that.
Yeah.
And I'm not validating your dereliction of duty as a media outlet, because they literally gave Trump billions of dollars of free advertising, and they
earned media they gave him.
and they're not telling us the truth about a lot of things, and shame on them. And so I just feel like, and there's some good shows out there. I'm not disparaging anybody. There's some great shows out there, but for what we need to do, we need to be intentional about algorithms and clicks and how we watch things. So I'm on Twitter.
That's real talk.
Watching stuff. So, but I said, these are the people that we need to have conversations. So there's an impeachment trial. I personally think Nancy Pelosi should have never handed down the articles to the Senate because they're not going to convict him no matter what case is presented. So what's the point? It's a farce. It's a dog and pony show, and it's taking up time, right? I think she should have just impeached, which they did, and then close the book on it and let that just sit in the annals of history that this never went to a trial because we knew that there was not going to be a fair trial. What do you think about that?
Lovingly will disagree, and I think her strategy played out well, right? The fact that she held out those days where people were like, you should have turned it over immediately. The fact that she held the articles, then we saw the Lev Parnas interview last night and the last 48 hours where you have someone point blank saying, Trump was in this, Pompeo was in this, William Barr was in this, Giuliani was giving me directive, and we have not heard any of them been able to say that didn't happen. They're like, well, there might have been misinterpretation and anything. So, okay, now you put more pressure on the Senate.
They don't care about pressure.
But it's not, but no,
they got the votes.
Some of them do, because some of them, they have re-elections coming.
2/3 though? You
don't need 2/3. You need 4 Republican senators to agree on these witnesses.
You just need a simple majority?
You need 4 of these Republican senators to break for, so that they've already said they need simple majority to change these rules.
Just for the rules, not for the impeachment.
Not for the impeachment. Not for the conviction.
Conviction, you need 2/3.
Right. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the first step is these witnesses will be major because for a lot of them, they want to get reelected. They thinking longer than Trump. And they're going to have to go back to their states and say, someone point blanks put themselves ahead of your state, your country, your community, and you're just going to let that ride? And so in the long game, if they are willing to do that.
Put it on record?
Point blank. You made a decision that Trump was more important than the country.
All right. What you want to say, Cena?
I got so many questions.
Go ahead. You're here.
Let's just talk about 2020 real quick. 2 questions on that. Why aren't we polling second choice voters in Iowa? You mentioned that. We don't really know about that. And then just my second one, you'll probably be able to answer very quickly. But the Electoral College, what are your feelings on it in general? Because I don't like it.
So on the second choice piece, they are polling it. I don't know why media doesn't talk about that more. And to Karen, to your point, I think that's one of those things that they got to get better about talking about. I do think you're going to see a lot over the next 2 weeks that conversation will pick up a lot more, especially since you have that poll that came out a week ago that said like 4 people were at 20%, give or take. Electoral College. As we know, the structure of how this all got created is a terrible instance, right? Because at the end of the day, it was trying to keep power away from black folk and empower slave owners to continue that. We recognize that. In the here and now, I still do support the Electoral College because if we did not have it, you would create a scenario where candidates would only go after 4 or 5 states.
Wait, if you didn't,
then we should all move to those states.
If you didn't have that, I would just focus on New York, California, Texas, Florida, maybe Illinois.
Because of the population.
Because of the population.
But right now, we got Wisconsin, Ohio we got to focus on.
But right now, you have a greater opportunity for more people to be in game. Bush Gore, the conversation became about Florida, but people missed out. If Gore would have won New Hampshire
or his own damn
Tennessee,
state,
he would have been president. And so this is why I always would say in the here and now, I would rather you have to go win in more places than just winning in 4 or 5.
This is one of the better arguments probably the best argument I've heard about that. That was good. And then my final one, which speaks to your safety, actually. Okay. Russia is trying to hack the DNC every day, and they're doing a lot of phishing attacks. Yeah. Do you personally use 2-factor authentication on your computer?
Not only do I, but we brought in Bob Lord, who was the one that got Yahoo fixed when that breach happened there. And we have updates probably every month that we are doing. And we're doing training of staffs in the states. 21 states had their systems impacted in different ways. And that's going back to why Tom is great, Karen, right? Because we are working with the states to get them ready because a lot of them weren't ready before.
And I think, you're right. I have this argument with people all the time. Usually people who are doing things, you don't see them because they're working and they're busy because that's been my excuse for the last 20 years. I mean, where you been? I've been working.
I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
Why are you posting more? I'm like, I'm too
working.
busy.
Working. We're working. People who are doing. We don't got time to be out there taking selfies. So let me apologize to him for that because I'm that person. Because what you don't know, but that's why you're here to answer questions, and I
here.
appreciate that. 866-801-8255. Mr. Mike Blake, Mr. Mike Blake. You can follow him on the Twitters, and his name is Michael Blake, named apparently for some Jamaican leaders, which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at your mom. All right, we got a couple of calls. Mike is here if you want to talk to him. But let's go to another Mike. Michael in Ohio. Welcome to the Karen Hunter Show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Mike Blake, that's hard to follow. I love that boy's energy, man. He got it going on.
Bananas, right?
But I believe, this dude is cool. I said, damn, who is that? But
I rock with you, man. That's good. That's good.
I rock with you too, man. I love that. But Cena, I agree with him because, check it out. I heard that Soleimani, I ever say his name?
Yes.
He has something to do with like 1,500 people being murdered in Iran. And then Trump murdered him, and I was like, why is Iran mad at that?
Yeah, they weren't.
I just couldn't get it. Then I started thinking Iran paid Trump. I started all this conspiracy talk.
That happened.
Here we go.
I ain't mad at you.
I hear you.
That's just I started thinking it. I said, what the hell is going on?
Michael, you ain't wrong. I think
Yeah.
I felt complicity even with the missile attacks.
Well, I don't know if you
Like
know
I-
this. Yeah, but
Except that plane that got caught in the crossfire, but it felt very like coordinated.
I'm a Trojan horse. I just want you guys all to know this.
We know that. Your hat tells a
Here
story.
we go.
Yeah, your hat tells a story. Listen, Cena. All right. Let's go to Cheryl in California. I think she wants to vote for you even though she's in California. Hey, Cheryl.
Hey, how's everybody?
Good. Turn your radio down because I'm hearing feedback.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Wait a minute. Whoa. Hold on, Karen. Hold on. I know better because I listen to you all the time. Hold on. Sorry about that. Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I was walking my dog listening to this dynamic man you have as a guest today. Your name is Michael Blake?
Oh, it's not me.
That's me. Yes,
Yes, sir. So first off, love what you had to say. When Karen asked, no disrespect, Karen, when you made the comment that that man in that house is going to win again, and I know people have their opinions, but when you said we are not going to let him win again, and when we start reciting that and we start believing it, I personally, I'm not from New York, but I know when we had those midterm elections in November, we took back the entire house. In this state, in California, Newport Beach, Orange County area, Lily White, Lily Rich has always been a red congressional state. We came in, women, Democrat women, we completely obliterated that. And that's all blue now. So when I hear people say he's going to win, and I know his base and all of that, well, let's look at what happened in the midterm. Going back to what Mr. Blake said, people are doing the work. And I think we have to remember, we may not see it because the media is only giving us a snapshot. But when I hear things like what you're doing, Mr. Blake, and me personally, I plan to get out and start doing the work because whatever it takes to get that person out of the White House, we have to unite our party. And whoever becomes our nominee, and I know people are skeptical, a lot of those people, they didn't come out and vote. Mm-hmm. I really believe that they didn't want either person, Trump or Clinton, but the fact that that person did win and they see all the damage he's done, I wholeheartedly believe people are going to come out and vote this time. They're not going to sit back, the 100 million people, and didn't do anything. And then you also got to remember, I have nieces that are in college. I talk to them all the time. So what's going on the college campus? She says, oh, they're fired up. These young people, like when Obama won, everyone said he wasn't going to win. What got him in? Young people, women. And I just wanted to end my comment with, I applaud you for what you're doing. If I lived in the South of Bronx, I would vote for you wholeheartedly. But I am claiming that we are going to get that man out of office.
First, it's not like France.
South Bronx.
South of Bronx.
South of
South of
Bronx.
Bronx.
Have they had the rosé in the
At the
South of Bronx?
South Bronx.
South Bronx. Number two, I'm very intentional about the words that come out of my mouth, and I need people to wake the F up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you Trump is going to win if we don't do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If we continue to be complacent, if we continue to have candidates like we're having, and I've said this on these airways, I don't give a damn who's the nominee. Even somebody I can't stand, I'm voting for them. Yeah. But we need to be equally as intentional, all of us. We can't be in our feelings because our candidate didn't win, because that happened in 2016. Oh, my candidate didn't win, so I'm going to vote for Jill Stein or somebody. Like, come on. Let's be bigger and more mature than that. But I hear what she's saying. She's correct.
206 counties voted for Barack Obama twice and then voted for Trump.
And see,
206.
And we all thought he was going to win after Iowa, because if all the white people could vote for this black man, he had a shot, and that shifted the tide.
And it shifted, and so that's why we need people to get in the game. Like your candidate, more than likely, your candidate's not going to be the nominee just because the numbers game. If you care, you got to get out there and mobilize, and we feel that energy. And even though you live in California, say south of California, wherever she may be, right?
South of Oakland.
You can also check us out. Follow us on BlakeForCongress.nyc. We welcome you no matter where you're at across the country, and we're real intentional about that. You know, it's not BlakeForCongress.com. You know, it's BlakeForCongress.nyc, because we want to remind people that we local.
Blake,
yeah, but you
is
bought
it
the
number
.com
4
too,
or
right?
is it
You
FOR? Hold on, is
that.
it the number 4 or FOR?
Blake FOR Congress.nyc. No, we didn't mess around with the other one because there was another guy before, but we're going to direct it. You know, people try to play that game.
Exactly. The Russians.
Oh, so you back on the Russians?
I'm just telling you.
We were doing so well for like the last 10 minutes, and now you back on the Russians.
I'm scared, man. We're at war.
Hilarious.
We are here.
All right. Well, a lot of people are endorsing you. I'm endorsing you just because I don't know whoever's running against you doesn't matter, because I think you're going to make a difference. And
I appreciate
thank
you.
And I want you to come back just to sit in and just chat, chit chat. He's gonna post up. Is that a South of Bronx?
That's a South of Bronx thing.
I'm gonna post up.
Let's talk after these early states. How about we come back, talk about what's going on?
You have an open seat at my table.
Oh.
All right. No, I speaks the truth, and if I said it, it's said, and it will be done.
Oh, all right, Prophet.
M. Mike Blake. Follow him on Twitter. Bombard his Twitter space. Let's follow him with intention. Give him love and praise and all that.